35 plus years, no lineup changes, non-stop summer tours, 2 #1 hits, and no, Amber wasn't one of them. Their own holiday, a van explosion, a fist fight with Creed, a rift with Sublime, loyalty, positivity, aliens, plagiarism, and a live performance that is a must-see for anyone who enjoys seeing a live show. Brodels, Excitable Ones, The Hive, and Familia, it's time to
investigate 311.
That's what plays are about. Nature has no conscience, no kindness or will, but
June 10th, 1990, Omaha, Nebraska. 311 performs for the first time, opening up for Fugazi. By 1993, they had signed to Capricorn Records alongside Cake and Widespread Panic. Capricorn was made famous by the Marshall Tucker Band and the Allman Brothers. 311 had signed a 7-record deal and by 1995 had reached platinum status for the Blue Album, and their Enlarge the Show detailed documentary also went platinum, a rare feat for a video at the time. By the end of the 90s, 311 had traveled to Australia, Europe, Asia, and were a global phenomenon. With hits like Down, Beautiful Disaster, Feel So Good, Do You Right, Homebrew, and All Mixed Up, they prided themselves on touring, and they still do today, 35 plus years later. But they almost never got started. On July 25th, 1993, while driving to their next gig, their van had constantly backfired, and finally the floorboards ignited and began to spread to the gasoline tank, causing the band to stop, get out, and run, just escaping before watching their van, equipment, cash, and everything they had explode into a fireball.
And we borrowed Chad's dad's RV, which was great until it caught on fire and we narrowly escaped with our lives. We were in Missouri, and we just filled up this RV. It was like an old, huge Winnebago from the early 70s, and just put like 100 gallons of gas in there. And it had been backfiring, but we were just like, oh, I guess we're just gonna have to live with the backfiring. But enough backfiring eventually caught the floorboards, because that's an explosion in the tailpipe, caught the floorboards on fire, and then that fire spread to the gas line, and then 100 gallons of gas went up with such an intense ball of flame that it actually disintegrated the Interstate 80 that we were driving, or I'm not sure if that was it, but it turned it all to gravel, and it was just like a pile of ash. Everything was completely melted. We just narrowly escaped with our lives, and we lost all our instruments. Each of us, we just had a pair of shorts on, and luckily we had our wallet, and I had my little bag of weed. And
you need the weed.
Shoes, but no shirts and no other possessions survived. Instantly, I remember saying to the guys, hey, all we need is each other and the songs in our heart, and we're gonna get through this. And we went to the sheriff gave us a ride to the airport so we could rent a car, and then we drove to Omaha. We canceled that night's gig. That was the only gig we canceled, was that night. And we were on our way to Omaha, and we drove into a fire and a tornado in the same day. We get through this, we can get through anything. And then we played the very next night in Omaha. We just borrowed gear, and one of our friends had a dad who had offered to give us a loan, and we borrowed some money. And just kept on going.
Extra crispy. Oh my God, the quarterback is toast.
As Nick mentions, they only canceled one show, borrowed equipment, and were right back on stage the following night. Minimal bruises, the perseverance and will to move on after a tragic accident has displayed their dedication to their fans and live performances. 311 would continue touring in 1993 to promote their album Music, which was produced by Eddie Offord. Offord was known as the producer for bands like Yes, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, as well as Music and Grassroots.
Music might be an all-time album, dude. Like I'll listen to it still today, and I'm like, God damn, dude, it's so good. All the way
production on that's insane. Like Eddie Offord was the one who touched the knobs there, and he was this eccentric British guy from prog rock world.
He worked with like Yes and Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and he'd worked with John Lennon and stuff, so he had a ton of stories.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And it was just this very sweet English gentleman, prototypical, right? And us.
Yeah, what were you guys like early on? Were you guys like good boys, bad boys? What was going on?
Smoking weed constantly.
Yeah, around the clock.
Around the clock.
That's what's up. That's what's up, dude.
Respectable kids.
They kicked off their introduction to the world with the song Welcome. Sick of the 9-to-5 workday, 311 was out to tell everyone that you are welcome to the festivities, and were dropping lines of literature proving that they weren't just some punk party musicians. This is a nod to Lawrence Ferlinghetti and his classic 1958 poetry collection, one of the best-selling poetry books of all time, and has been written in multiple languages. It explores a chaotic world with themes of conformity, consumerism, and the Cold War. It reminded 311 that the world is a beautiful place. It can be a fun house with nightmares to follow, but their artistic abilities in music help keep them grounded. A heartfelt homage at the end of Welcome with a shout out to the Sugar Hill Gang's Rapper's Delight before unleashing to the world track 2, Freak Out, letting everyone know that the show is just getting started and they are here to stay. Nick was introduced to the piano at age 5, and by his teen years he learned how to play bass and guitar, but he's never stopped learning and continues to take lessons to this day. Lead guitarist Tim Mahoney began playing trombone around the 4th grade before transitioning to guitar, and drummer Chad Sexton played in the jazz band alongside Nick Hexum in high school. Prior to the record deal with Capricorn, 311 had just the instruments on their back. Now with a studio and Eddie Offer's wisdom, they began experimenting with new equipment such as a sampler. They began recording 808s, which introduced them to a whole new sound that would evolve over time. While they had plenty of influences, their biggest influences were each other.
I believe in always remaining teachable, and I took guitar lessons very recently just because there was gaps, and I knew there were certain chords I didn't know, that I couldn't play every scale in every position, so I guess I went through this kind of learning phase, and then I would write these weird things with new chords and teach them to Tim. But for me, when people ask me my influences, your biggest influence in any band is going to be your bandmates. Tim is my biggest influence as a guitarist, and that's just how it is. Of course, we can name outside people that we grew up on stuff, but
it's kind of locked in.
Yeah.
With these guys.
My bros are down for the unity. 311 is down for the unity.
Unity was the original band name with Nick, Chad, and Tim before adding Peanut on bass and S.A. Martinez on the vocals, as well as turntables. You can't spell community without unity, and 311 has done their best to promote positive vibes, spreading joy alongside dancing, moshing, and grooving to their beats.
I'm doing my thing, groove. I'm showing them, proving them every deal. Makes you feel ill. Runs in my family, busting and cutting and pitching and kicking. If you ask me, I think that you're just chicken to try. If you don't go, bitch, remember I said it, one day you'll regret it.
Do You Right was the first single off the album Music, and while lounging poolside at their house in Van Nuys listening to KROQ, local DJ Tammy Hyde had a very important announcement as she transitioned on air to saying, "If this is what bands sound like in Nebraska, I think we all need to move to Nebraska."
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Everybody jump.
Then introduced their fusion of funk, rock, and rap with their song Plain. A few important lines here.
Down the road, is my brain. That means I'm a fool. Are you insane? The next gesture is not the same. If I had a point, I'd say it plain.
Tabla Rosa is a Latin phrase translating to blank slate, a message of staying proactive and avoiding complacency with a balanced mindset.
Too sad to see the scene dictated by frustrated former musician, switching ever since I'm on too money. Then I'm a ton of me. I tell you what's wrong to me, the industry's ability to manufacture who's done. You're about the key with cheaper makes time, but the blame not with those suits for China's the sheep. You keep on buying that, so
verse represents that they are here for the work of art and not the money. During the 90s, they were all about touring and making a name for themselves. In the past few years, they have also added a few features that were price gouges like the app and an NFT, but they both failed miserably. The intention was to give fans an alternative on pre-sales of tickets and digital ownership, but they ultimately failed. Purchasing tickets were a lot easier without all the BS through Ticketmaster and its fees. The best place to get a ticket is the venue itself if you can. Next, rolling into Feel So Good, which was one of their first big hits. It was originally recorded on the Downstairs EP, and if you haven't heard the demo version, I'd highly recommend checking it out, as it has changed over the course of 3 years prior to being released on the music album. During the 90s, weed was a subculture that was abstract to the mainstream media, but 311 wasn't afraid to let everyone know they participated in the finest of the herbs. It was also a song that they had to slow down on their live set, as it was almost inaudible as they fed off the crowd's energy while playing it too fast. And finally, Eddie Alford gets a shout out in the song Fuck the Bullshit, as he helped create the early sound of 311 in studio form. He encouraged heavy riffs and bass, reggae, and pocket drumming. The crew was young, and Alford, who was older and wiser, was like a father figure to them, as he taught them studio etiquette and discipline. On the album, the title was called Fat Chance because 311 believed there was a slim chance that they could print curse words on the jewel case insert.
Fuck the bullshit, it's time to throw down.
Eric-san, you must follow direction. You lack discipline.
Nuh-uh, don't lack a discipline.
I think Doug's lyrics are like little poetic images, and mine are more like explaining my points and my way of thinking, you know. If there's a song down the road, it's going to be called 311 Has Grassroots, but the song hasn't even been written. But most songs have music first.
311 has grassroots, come on up. 311 has grassroots, true. 311 has grassroots for your mama. 311 has grassroots.
After touring for a year with music, 311 would release their second album, Grassroots, in July of 1994. Eddie Alford began the project as producer, but would struggle with mental health issues, causing his absence from the studio during recording. This led to 311 finishing the album themselves. Knowing that the album was rising from chaos, drummer Chad Sexton sat down with Alford to teach him how the soundboard worked. Alford provided his technique, with Sexton holding a pen and a pad, and it kicked off his skill as an engineer/producer.
Another ordinary madness.
311 would quote Charles Bukowski for this lyric and state that this was directly inspired by the madness and instability of the Grassroots recording. It's their least edited album, and you can hear it in the mix. They were doing what they wanted to do, didn't care what people thought, and you could hear it in the raw, muddy sounds and verses. It was an anything goes type of album. Songs without choruses, jams, dance halls, hip-hop, and drumcore. Influences of Fish, The Grateful Dead, De La Soul, A Tribe Called Quest, Public Enemy, Fishbone, Bad Brains, The Clash, Jane's Addiction, and Red Hot Chili Peppers. These bands helped them build their high-energy stage presence that still carries on today. The album brought the song Applied Science. After a few minutes of Chad Sexton and his drum solo, the full band returns for their famous joined drum solo. It's a unique part of the show and has evolved over the years. Fans that have never seen 311 live before are amazed at its 10-minute solo, while fans who have seen 311 20 plus times have argued that the solo needs to go, but it's a staple and it's not going anywhere. It shows off their talent as musicians, and it's also hard to top when the solo is over and the band comes full circle to finish the track.
I crave it, I gave it, I shove it in a battery and save it for later.
311 would continue providing additional shoutouts to their friends. The verse in Nutsymtom was written by childhood friend Kurt Grubb, who is thanked in the liner notes.
All the masses, passes upon the fucking asses, and if you don't see, get classes. That is a shout out to the words of Kurt Grubb. The motherfucker is no scrub, but said the man is the kind, like the one with the...
Nick believed that the lyrics were so powerful that he asked Grubb if he could use it on the album. Grubb also had an Omaha band named Grasshopper Takeover and would remain friends with 311 over the years. Grubb and Hexum would link up in 2021 and release a song together called Don't Know What. While bassist Peanut would credit Les Claypool and Flea on Nutsymtom as he mimics their melodic slap bass approach, altered with a jazz lens. John Schofield and Pat Mahaney, who are both jazz legends, also helped the band draw additional inspiration.
Not change it up, one time in my mind, would you out?
Back and forth vocal trade-offs between Hexum and S.A. Martinez, influenced by the likes of the Beastie Boys, can be heard on Silver, where they never mention the title name, there isn't a chorus, and there isn't a hook. Just an unpredictable, non-radio track that is a highlight of the album. It begins with Hexum saying,
Bobby, you be quiet out there.
This is Nick telling his dog Bobby to quiet down, and they left it in the recording. It paints the perfect picture of the Van Noy's house recording in the living room as you can hear the sliding door. They reference Captain Picard of Star Trek, Mortal Kombat, and Dracula before calling out Terrence Henry, who charged up their landline phone bill by making long-distance calls and then bouncing, footing 311 with the bill.
You choose your fucking friends like Dracula. But when we kick you out, we just broke you. You left a big surprise from a setback bow. Call all your other dads and your friends in hell. Well, let me tell you, Sonny, fucking piece of shit. You never had no money. Now tell me what's it worth it. You leave a trail alive. That's right, keep moving. We won't come after you. We'd only end up proving in the end. Revenge sends to the defendant. I know the team is true. I wear it like a pendant. I know you hear the song, so would think it's funny. Your name is Terrence Henry. Demons are so muddy. Hold on. Hello?
Omaha Stylee samples the intro from U-Roy's Wake This Town and is an homage to their Nebraskan roots. After their move from Omaha to LA, many thought 311 would have sold out and forgotten their past. But this anthem reminds everyone that they are Omaha through and through. While Homebrew may be one of the greatest 4th of July songs to date, with references to Evel Knievel and the Beatles. And yes, S.A. Martinez does use a phrase on the album that is no longer said on live versions. And for the fans that don't know, go take a listen to the original recording and you can find out what it is.
Is there a black person here?
What did you just say?
I said, is there a black person here?
Regardless, 311 is all about positivity and peace. However, if you do take a stab at them, they aren't afraid to back down, and they prove it with the song Grassroots.
Peace to all crews that want some peace. First the man, then the west, then we slide through the east. Peace to any crew who want a peace. Peace to all crews that want peace. Check it out.
Peace was not dealt on Thanksgiving night in November of 2005 at a hotel in Baltimore when frontman Scott Stapp of Creed spent the night partying and drinking. He noticed Chad Sexton, S.A. Martinez, and Peanut at the hotel bar and would strike up a conversation. Formidably friendly, Stapp discussed how he got on stage at a 311 show in Florida and how 311 inspired him to start a band that would soon sell 30 million records and win a Grammy. He then fell uneasy and sucker punched Chad Sexton in the face, causing S.A. Martinez to throw a punch back, leading to a boxer's fracture and a cast, while Peanut joined in and tore an open scar on his right arm from a recent surgery. Like the van accident, they were back on stage the next night. 311 has no ill will towards Stapp, but I think they tried their best to stay away from him today. Fan theories have suggested that 311's song The Great Divide, which was released on 2014's album Stereolithic, is about that night. It shares the same title of a Creed song, and their lyrics mention,
Hey, I'm on a cloud parfait. I roll into the valley of the fall for my name. My knees buckle, chuckle, motherfucker. I get back up like there never was a scuffle.
The band has debunked this theory. We all know conspiracies are dumb. Finally, Six provides a chaotic and aggressive waltz where the tempo speeds up significantly, reminiscing a panic attack. Chad also interpolates the melodic intro of The Wizard of Oz as it is a nod from his drum corps days.
Since 95, we go for the high.
By 95, 311 was gaining notoriety as Road Warriors, headlining shows with guests such as Korn, No Doubt, Sublime, G-Love, Cake, the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones, and The Urge. Then came the beef with Sublime, which could have been handed down nonsense. The story states that prior to a performance where 311 were to go on stage, Bradley Noel of Sublime deleted all of S.A. Martinez's samples on his DJ equipment. It could all be folklore, and the clash between Bradley and 311 could stem from 311 being the commercial success band, having a major label record deal, and a nice van, while Sublime was producing Billboard hits in their own gritty style. Either way, Bradley would pass away on May 25, 1996, and 311 would dedicate a song to him the very next day.
This next song is a song we only play every once in a while. It goes out to the singer of Sublime, Brad. Died of a heroin overdose recently. You will be missed. This song's called Tribute.
Over the years, tensions would fade. 311 and Sublime with Rome would tour together in 2011, which featured both original members, Eric and Bud, alongside Rome Ramirez. I always wondered what legacy each band would have carried had Bradley not passed away. Would there have been an extended beef? Would they have dominated the airwaves together? Would they have ever collaborated? Would we have had a massive tour similar to Pop Punk's Blink-182 and Green Day's Pop Disaster Tour? What do you think? Comment below your thoughts. 1995 brought the Blue Album, which is their most sold album as it is 3 times platinum and was Capricorn's biggest commercial success of the 90s. 311 felt that they were ready to release a self-titled album because they believed this was their best example of who they were as a band and how they have evolved.
Yeah, it was time to do it. Yeah, we knew we had gotten to the point where we were making our own kind of language, making our own path, and there were people supporting that. So I think we all knew collectively that it was time. Awesome studio, awesome producer. Our feet are wet in the experience. Right. We'd done hundreds of shows at that point. And remember, it was 1, 2, 3. It was 93, 94, 95, and the Blue Album was 95. So it was on the road, record, on the road, record, on the road, write, record. And
the first single, Don't Stay Home, had moderate success, and then Down put them on the mainstream map. Their debut television appearance came on The Late Late Show with Conan O'Brien. While they also recorded the music video for Down on a beach in Long Island, Beck was also simultaneously shooting his video for Devil's Haircut. The Blue Album brought out cosmic vibes, aliens, weed, and mushroom references, along with shoutouts to Reggie Miller, James Brown, Mortal Kombat, Sega, Barnum and Bailey, Rocket Man, Bob Marley, The Funk Junkies, No Doubt, Son of Sam, Betty Crocker, The Tricks Rabbit, and Philly Blunts. The entire album has a groove, whether it's punchy and driven to funky and melodic. It's a truly no-skip album. Produced by Ron St. Germain, Hexum is heavily influenced by Bad Brains, and Germain produced their album Quickness, which became an instant favorite by the rest of the 311 members.
So Nick and I are in my mom's car. We're tripping balls, and I'm not counting how many tags of LSD we took, but we are flying down the road, and Nick's like, he is going off on the new Bad Brains record. And I knew of Bad Brains, but I wasn't like a fan at that moment in time. But anyway, he puts on the album Quickness and that Ron Saint had produced. And it's probably a combination of the acid, flying down South Omaha Street at night. Nick and I just kind of we're still getting to know one another, that whole, and then Nick just cranking my mom's Honda system. He's like, listen to this. And I was like immediately a fan then of that band and that album in particular. That's to this day my favorite Bad Brains record.
The song Brodels gives us fans another name for close friends or brother. It references Lord Buckley, an influential 1940s, 50s comedian of royal hipness and a forgotten innovator of the Beat generation that bridged the gap between jazz and 1960s counterculture. At the start of Brodels, after the short intro, you can hear a deep voice say the Nas, which is reminiscent to Lord Buckley and his cadence.
Here come the Nas.
While the chorus shares another reference to Lord Buckley about the Nas, alluding to Jesus and knowing a cat who could feed a cat.
Nas knows where it's at. Brodel is a Nas who knows a cat, who can feed a cat. The goal is to be a poet and a carpenter, to be one who loves, to be one who works. The Nas is not something that can be given. The Brodel is inside you, it comes from within.
Them hills, they gonna get it straight. If they can't straighten it, they know a cat that knows a cat that's gonna get it straight. But I'm gonna put a cat on you. Was the sweetest gone.
Hexum also references Yeti, Trevor, Scotch, Adam Rausper, a Swede, a friend indeed, who all helped in the recording process of the Blue Album.
Greatest show on earth, we turned it out daily, in and out of town, by Barnum and Bailey. I know there is a simile, but they couldn't resist. From Solomon Roadie from the PJ, I don't think he'll be missed. I eat a cob salad, smoke within the cut and get it to clear white powder.
Speaking of staying clear of white powder, let's break down Misdirected Hostility, which has been a fan favorite with its smooth lead. In the early to mid-90s, grunge was everywhere with the rise of Nirvana, Soundgarden, and Pearl Jam representing songs of anger. While on tour with the Funk Junkies, 311 noticed some unnecessary negativity between the band that was a causation of substance abuse. Misdirected Hostility channels positivity and discusses Nick's time where he let harder drugs get in the way of his life before ultimately settling down for more ginseng approach of weed and mushrooms. They also break down who they are as a band: body rock, pop, and lock, no strain if your game is respected, come as you are radio star, drown out the hatred with a rhyme, which could be an ode to Kurt Cobain and Nirvana.
Over your shoulders, grit your belly ache, and you're saying that you're tortured. Give me a fucking break, and maybe they got the source of your experience. What do I mean? Kick the fucking heroin, I speak from experience, cause I didn't see clearly once. Acting like a dunce. In 1989, I was cocaine Jim Beam, but now it's 22 and I'm ginseng. Misdirected Hostility, that's what we got. Misdirected Hostility.
The Blue Album offers 40 minutes of non-stop rap rock and is a staple in 311's catalog. Even the B-sides are stellar, which include Firewater, Gap, Juan Bond, Outside, and Let the Cards Fall, all which have been played live. Whew. Okay, so we've made it through 1995 with plenty of references to pop culture, shoutouts on how the band got their start. We haven't even discussed the fan favorite album of Transistor or their other big singles such as Come Original and Amber. With their longevity of 35 plus year history, there's plenty of more to discover. Shout out in the comments if you'd like to investigate more 311.
Somebody, anybody, scream!